Okay, beautiful. Let's look a little bit deeper into the realms of dating and what you can do when a man triggers you. So imagine that you are again a woman in the dating world, in the dating field, and you are exposed to the situations where a man is triggering you. So for instance, we're going to look again at the situation where he's not being too responsive. You send him a message and it takes him 24 hours or more to respond. So that starts getting annoying to you, and you have different ways of approaching it. When there is a moment where a man triggers you and you are exposed to one of his shadows or immaturities, here are some of the things that you can do. The first one is self-regulate. It means that you check your emotions, you check what's happening, and if you are irritated about something, you find a way of releasing that emotion. Why? Because you don't want to come to the next date triggered, and sometimes those things that trigger you are going to be minor offenses. They're not going to be a big deal. They're not deal breakers in the relationship. It's not like he's being abusive or super controlling or really gaslighting you or abusing you in other ways. So when those things are what we can call micro triggers, if you check in and you discover ways of circulating that energy and building a story around it, it can be like, you know what, he's human, he's not perfect. So you have a self-talk or you have a story around it that is not a limiting factor to engage deeper into that relationship. So that's one way of doing it. Another one is to set up boundaries. So boundaries is like establishing a limit into what he's doing. In that case, the boundaries are not going to be adapted to the situation that you are facing. But in other situations, sometimes you have to say no to somebody, and but in that case, it might be simply doing another strategy of activating another strategy, which is simply retracting. So when you retract, you are going to take a little bit of a step back and disinvest yourself a little bit from that person. It doesn't mean that you have to disinvest at 100%. You can still give that person a chance, especially if you only went on 1 or 2 dates. You can still stay in touch with that person because that person might modify their behavior at a later stage. Another possible strategy is to educate the person, and educating the person is going to be, most of the times, hard work. However, when you're in a conversation, for instance, if you want to be very direct, and you can say, listen, I've got something sensitive to tell you. I notice that it really bothers me when it takes you 48 hours to respond. So I would love for you to be a bit more present and simply be a bit more responsive. Is this something that you could be doing, that you would like to do? So when you are educated, you are coming up with a request. The thing that is tricky in the early stages of dating, when you still didn't build the romantic container, it feels like a processing thing. Most of the times when you try to educate somebody, it's like it requires an effort. It requires some form of process. You can make it really light. You can say yes or no. It can be something that is solved in no time. But most of the times there is going to be a sense of criticism. He's going to perceive it as something that is a potential attack on his integrity or a questioning of his skills and power. And so when you start educating somebody, it's very important that you already have some form of ground with that person. This is why most of the times with friendships and casual encounters, we are not really going into educating that person because it's a waste of time. Basically, if there are certain things that are incompatible, we're going to redirect our energy to people with who we are naturally compatible, rather than trying to modify people who are not compatible in the first place. So what we want is to to simply educate when it's appropriate to do so. Always realize that once you start directing or coming up with requests or demands or suggestions, it becomes a little bit tricky because the person can say yes or no. It can become a process. They might say yes at first, but then not follow up with action. So all that can become slightly frustrating for one or both of you. Another thing that you can do is inquire. Approach it with curiosity. You can approach a situation like this one with curiosity. Be like, hey, I noticed that when I send you a message, it takes you a couple of days to get back to me. What's behind that? Why? What is going on? Are you afraid of responding too fast, or are you playing a game, or Yeah, tell me more. I'm really curious to understand what are the dynamics here. And this is not a personal attack. I'm just curious about the whole set of dynamics about what's going on over there. So you see, you have a set of strategies now. For you, it's important to identify which one you want to play, which one of those strategies you can play. It can be a mix of different things. It can be inquire first and then educate, or set up a boundary. And if he says, well, that's just the way I am, I communicate and I respond whenever I want because I'm very busy, say, well, that's going to be relatively difficult to build a connection with somebody who is not responsive at all with you. So you want to explore all of that a little bit deeper and see which ones of these set of strategies you want to apply in that specific situation. Okay, love you. If you have any questions, message me. It's really important that you don't get stuck into the dating world. I've got lots of tools and lots of resources and lots of possibilities to help you upgrade your dating life. Love you.